Hello everyone, and welcome to History of the Ancient World. Today, we're diving into one of the most famous stories ever told, the Trojan War. Was it a real historical event, or just a myth spun by poets? Let's find out. For centuries, the tale of the Trojan War, immortalized in Homer's epic poem, the Iliad, was thought to be pure fiction. A grand story of gods, heroes, and a giant wooden horse, but nothing more. It tells of a 10-year siege by the Achaean Greeks against the city of Troy, all sparked by the abduction of Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world, by the Trojan prince Paris. The Greek king Agamemnon, brother of Helen's husband Menelaus, assembled a massive army to bring her back. Heroes like Achilles, the invincible warrior, and Odysseus, the clever strategist, joined the cause. On the other side, Troy was defended by its own legendary heroes, led by the noble Hector. The story is packed with drama. Gods and goddesses take sides, interfering in battles and manipulating events. We see the wrath of Achilles, the tragic fate of Hector, and the cunning plan that finally brought down the impenetrable walls of Troy. After a decade of stalemate, the Greeks pretended to sail away, leaving behind a massive wooden horse as a supposed offering to the gods. The Trojans, celebrating their apparent victory, pulled the horse into their city. But hidden inside were Greek soldiers who, under the cover of night, opened the city gates for their returning army. Troy was sacked, burned to the ground, and its people were lost. A dramatic end to a legendary war. But is any of it true? For a long time, historians dismissed it. There was no archaeological evidence to support such a massive conflict. The city of Troy itself was considered a mythical place, lost to time, that is, until a man named Heinrich Schliemann came along in the 1870s. Schliemann was a German businessman and a passionate amateur archaeologist, obsessed with Homer's tales since childhood. He was convinced that the Iliad was based on real events, and that he could find the lost city of Troy. Guided by the geographical clues in the Iliad, Schliemann began excavating a hill in modern-day Turkey called Hisarlik. What he found was astonishing. Not just one city, but multiple layers of settlements, built on top of each other over thousands of years. He had discovered the ruins of a real, ancient city. Schliemann excitedly declared he had found Homer's Troy. He even claimed to have discovered Priam's treasure, a magnificent hoard of gold and silver artifacts he believed belonged to the legendary Trojan king. Now, Schliemann's methods were controversial. He was often reckless, digging straight through layers and destroying valuable evidence in his haste. His identification of Priam's treasure was likely incorrect, as modern analysis suggests it dates to a period much earlier than the likely time frame of the Trojan War. But despite his flaws, Schliemann's discovery was monumental. He proved that a powerful, fortified city did exist at the location described by Homer. He had turned myth into a potential reality. So we have a city. But what about the war? Modern archaeologists who have continued to work at Hisarlik have made some incredible discoveries. One of the layers, known as Troy Sevener, shows clear signs of destruction and fire, dating to around 1250 to 1180 BC. This timing aligns perfectly with the traditional dates given for the Trojan War by ancient Greek historians. The city's fortifications from this period were also massive and impressive, suggesting it was a place of great importance and power, certainly a prize worth fighting for. Furthermore, tablets from the Hittite Empire, a major power in the region at the time, mention a kingdom in western Anatolia called Wilusa. Many scholars believe Wilusa is the Hittite name for what the Greeks called Ilios, another name for Troy. These texts speak of political tensions and conflicts between the Achaeans, or the Ahiawa as the Hittites called them, and Wilusa. One treaty even mentions a king of Wilusa named Alexandru, which sounds remarkably similar to Alexandros, another name for the Trojan prince Paris. So, what's the verdict? Did the Trojan War happen exactly as Homer described, with meddling gods and a 10-year siege over a beautiful queen? Probably not. The Iliad is a work of epic poetry, not a history textbook. It was composed hundreds of years after the events it supposedly describes, passed down through generations of oral tradition, likely embellished and dramatized along the way. The story of the wooden horse is almost certainly a poetic invention, a clever metaphor for a cunning military tactic. However, the evidence strongly suggests that there was a real historical basis for the legend. It's very likely that a coalition of Mycenaean Greek kingdoms, the Achaeans, did launch a major military expedition against the powerful city of Troy in the late Bronze Age. The motive was probably not a single beautiful woman, but something more practical: control over lucrative trade routes. Troy's strategic location at the entrance to the Dardanelles Strait meant it could control all maritime traffic between the Aegean and Black Seas. This would have been a massive source of wealth and power, a prize worth going to war for. So the Trojan War wasn't just a myth, but it wasn't a word-for-word historical account either. It's a fascinating blend of both. It's a memory of a real, brutal Bronze Age conflict, filtered through centuries of storytelling, and transformed into one of the greatest epic poems in human history. The story captures the timeless themes of honor, glory, love, and loss, which is why it still resonates with us thousands of years later. It's a reminder that sometimes the most enduring legends have their roots buried in the real struggles of the ancient world. What do you think? Was it a real war for trade, or a legendary battle of heroes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching History of the Ancient World. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. See you next time.